welcome. Come on in. Tell a friend. All black everything.
Bluetooth pairing.
Thinkers plate.
Bluetooth
Big
connected.
dreams, many streams. We back with Tavistock Institute. Chapter 6, Cybernetics, dropping information and spirits, just sharing what's going on between these walls right here. Got a little bit more to go. We in cybernetics, that's it. We taking off right where we left off. I do not own the rights to this music. Peace of the kings and queens, soul to soul. Yo. Like and share, subscribe, put your thumbs up like you're hitchhiking. Let's go. And it continues, it says Eugenics Quarterly magazine became Social Biology, and the American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood. Switching the names. Just switching the names, not the game, though. Which today is responsible for a massive depopulation of in Africa. Excuse me. In Africa. You wonder why, huh? Hmm? God damn it. It's not It is not widely known that some of the largest aid agencies and U.S. Christian fundamentalist groups have been covertly running in Africa over the past several decades. This ain't nothing new, man. All you gotta do is do your own research, man, see what's going on, why it's going on, how it's going on. Powerful information. Do your own research, though. Its banner is family planning, which is turned on its head when one understands the real implications and far reaching objectives. These family planning policies are vigorously and consistently advocated by major bilateral donors, such as the U.S. government, through its surrogate U.S. aid and multilateral agencies, most notably the International Planned Parenthood Federation, or IPPF, the UN Fund for Population Activities, or UNFPA, and the World Bank in Africa. The World Bank, since the 1960s, has been the leading funding entity of population control, spending skyrocketing from a paltry 27 million in 1969-1970 to over 4.5 billion by 2006. World Bank President Eugene Black and Robert McNamara were at one time trustees of Rockefeller controlled Ford Foundation. More significantly, population control policies have now become a key condition required for the disbursement of structural adjustment loans, or SALs, by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund with the framework of their several structure adjustment programs, SAPs. SAP conditions typically include, in addition to devaluation, liberalization, and privatization of the national economies and of the health and education sectors, population control policies. Thus, preparation of a population policy statement is a typical condition for the disbursement of the SAP. Betsy Hartman, director of the Population and Development Program at Hampshire College, coined a new term for such policies: maluthenism, maluthanasia, Malthusian eco-fascism, or MEF. She notes that the international aid community currently concentrates its population control efforts in sub-Saharan Africa, and family planning becomes the number one priority. Quote, the overriding imperative of these internationally generated programs, they are degenerate, stupid, but generated programs is to reduce population growth as fast and as cost effectively as possible, end quote. As she rightly observes, it in much of Africa where AIDS threatens tragic human and demographic consequences, the present emphasis on population control and defunding of health systems amount to indirect triage, end quote. Needless to say, Africa is not the only continent where these brutal policies are enacted. In 1972, in an effort to deal with the so called population emergency in India, the World Bank funded a $21 million project, which resulted in millions of involuntary sterilizations and thousands of deaths. The confluence of eugenists, Nazi environmentalists, and one world company enthusiasts also converged through a secretive 1001 Club, comprised of the most ancient and powerful families of Europe who financed covert Malthusian operations of the WWF in Africa. When one such operation run by WWF, for example, was called Operation Lock, ostensibly to save the black rhino in South Africa. John Hanks, WWF Africa's director, financed a team of retired British SAS commandos to infiltrate and sabotage so-called poaching rings through and outside paramilitary force, instigating black on black violence between the African National Congress and the Inkatha Freedom Party by carrying out targeted acts of violence like the June 18th, 1992 Biotong Massacre. The massacre caused the African National Congress to walk out of the initial formal negotiations to end apartheid, accusing the ruling National Party of complicity in the attacks. The goal was to trigger a bloody civil war and prevent the end of apartheid system and the reintegration, reintegration of South Africa into the world community. I think we'll stop right there. I think that's a lot of information right there. I think that's gonna be enough right there for right now. But that's, you see the diabolical bullshit that goes on in these corporations, man. Time Suck Institute, we back. We coming back. Right where we left off. All black everything. Peace and love, y'all. Think it's like big dreams, many streams. Getting it in. Like it, share, subscribe, it, thumbs up like you hitchhiking, you know it.